So how do I prepare my business for scaling nationally or globally? Good question, and this is something that you'll consider at a certain point when you're big enough to start the scale. And what I mean by that is this: you got to get the baseline done first. You got to get your local market done first if you're starting locally, or if you're starting in the US, get your national market done first before thinking about scaling. Why? Scaling brings different challenges in different markets. If you're going just from the US to Canada, it's going to bring one set of challenges. But if you're going from the US over to Asia or the Philippines or Australia, a whole different set of challenges. And especially right now in a changing environment, because at the time we're recording this video, there's the tariffs that are being adjusted and what they call trade war, which is not a trade war, just we've had tariffs implied on us. So we're doing the same thing to others with the hopes of a starting point so that we can have no tariffs at all. Now, it's ironic that we're having this discussion because early on in my businesses, we started companies and I was selling products within the US. I started selling them into Canada, and then I started selling them into Europe and Australia. But the problem was, is I had a lot of VAT taxes, which was the certain tax imposed on importing goods to Europe. And so that affected the price. I had to adjust the price a little bit, so I still wanted the sales, so I had less margins on those. The shipping cost was more, the delivery time was more. So there's certain things here that you have to consider as hard factors, but there's also planning that goes into this as well. Maybe some of the rules and regulations and laws are a little bit different there. Maybe you can do certain things there that you can't do in the US or vice versa. So ultimately, scaling magnifies the strengths and the weaknesses. So you got to have your foundation fixed first, like I just talked about a minute ago, because if your foundation isn't rock solid, when you go to scale, it's just going to magnify all the problems. It's like they say with people and money. If you already have problems, adding money to the picture is just going to fuel all of the problems, the good, the bad, the good habits, the bad habits, the same thing with the business. If you scale the business, it's going to put a magnifying glass on any of the problems. Now, if you scale it too fast, you'll run into a problem as well. If you scale it too slow, well, now you're wasting time. So there's a balance that goes in there that you need to be aware of, and you have to understand that it doesn't happen overnight. But at the same time, you need to move swiftly. So with that said, key areas to strengthen before even considering scaling. Operations. Can your systems handle 10 times the amount of customers? I've been involved as a consultant on a couple different businesses that they ended up going on the Joe Rogan podcast, and ultimately their systems just couldn't handle what came after the fact. And so inadvertently, I heard some of the troubles that were going on, and it was ironic because they should have prepared early on, but they didn't. The systems weren't in place, the systems couldn't handle it, the people couldn't handle it. Listen, if you need to get temporary people to handle an influx of calls or emails or anything else, that should be easy, right? Because if you already have the SOPs in place and you already have the systems in place and you've already taken our virtual scaling accelerator, that would be easy. You'd know where to get the people immediately within a week beforehand. And knowing that you're going on that podcast, this is something that you get booked on and you go on it in 2 days, right? Everything requires planning, and if your systems can handle it, then the people should be able to handle it, but you have to put the people in place. Now, I will say this, there's other companies I've been involved in the music business that ultimately they weren't ready for certain release dates of things. The website couldn't handle the traffic, right? The website ended up crashing. There was too much traffic going to the websites at a certain time. The downloads weren't working, things like that. So you have a tech stack that you have to worry about, but then you also have staffing itself. Can the people handle it, but also can your technology handle it? And so all of this should be mapped out and architect early on if you are going to scale. If you're going to have something big come along and you need fast scaling, like getting on a major podcast, appearing on a TV show, or getting some type of marketing situation handled or invited over to a marketing situation that's going to get you massive amounts of exposure, you should be planning this stuff early on with you, the business, your team, and the technology that you use, all the programs, all the softwares, all of that stuff. Can your business handle 10x growth? Can it handle 100x growth? These are things that you should, if you know this up front, you're being proactive and you're not going to be reactive, because when the site goes down, that's lost. You run a Super Bowl ad, guess what? If your systems failed, you would have just spent millions of dollars on an ad and your systems couldn't handle it, the people couldn't handle it. Guess what? Now you've just lost money instead of possibly making money for something great that you could have done because your systems and your people were in place. Supply chain. Is it reliable suppliers? Is it reliable distributions and distributors? These are things that you can ask them. Hey, if we had an influx in orders of this amount, or we needed to order this much, do scenarios, run workups with them and just see periodically, yearly, quarterly, whatever the case may be, and say, if I ordered an influx of this amount of product, how much longer would I have to wait? What would my lead time be? And would I see any issues? And what would the price be on that? Because sometimes you may be a JIT ordering, just in time is what they call it. We do that in some of my businesses. Just in time ordering, where I'd order just enough and then we stock it. And then when that goes, we order just enough, sometimes just enough to make something. Now, the reason being is I don't want to stock all the stuff in a warehouse because of price changes, of other changes, of storage fees, things like that. If you ask, hey, if I ordered this amount more, what would my price breaks be and my price points be on different breaks of quantity? They're going to tell you this, but also they're going to tell you lead time. They're going to tell you any other fees that are charged, maybe on bulk orders, if there are any. So these are things that you can take into account, make a spreadsheet and understand that so you're ready for it if and when it happens. Now, the talent, we talked about the talent, right? Leadership team. Are they ready to manage bigger operations? One pitfall that I see the majority of the time with businesses is they have somebody that is rocking and rolling in a warehouse or in a certain capacity of a company. Let's take the warehouse out of it. They rock and roll in a certain capacity. They're great at their job. They're the best salesman in the company. And then they turn around and go, wow, you're such a great salesman. We're actually going to bump you up to a manager position so that you can manage everybody and make them great salesmen as well. Well, unfortunately, the logic is there, the concept is there, but the logic in actuality doesn't pan out. Why? Because they're a great salesman, but they're having to be a manager to be a great salesman and teach other people sales. Manager qualities and characteristics and traits are different from sales. You have a different set of skill sets here. And so the skill set being different, they may suffer here, whereas they did great over here. Understanding this early on so you know I can't just shift this person from one capacity to another capacity. Even if you train them, different set of skills. So don't fall into that trap where you have a problem with that later on. Okay, so we talked about talent. Now, what else do we need to look at and understand here? Understanding regional, national, and global differences. Language, culture, regulations, customer preferences. These are all going to be different. Management styles and culture are different in certain regions than they are in others. So having a consultant to talk to, booking some time with a consultant to understand what the best strategy is, the best structure is. Ultimately, maybe there's an affiliated business that does the same or similar, and they already are in those markets. And you can call them and ask them what they did to do that. Be humble about it, right? We're all in this together. Yes, it's competition, but maybe somebody else has a better idea of something and you need to just call them and ask them. Consultants are great for this as well. There's strategists and consultants that are focused just on scaling nationally and globally. You just have to reach out to them and ultimately get their opinion on that. Excuse me. So building a scalable marketing channel such as ads, SEO, and partnerships. In some of my SEO teams and my content management teams, we have a different strategy for the US than we do for Australia, than we do for other countries. And ultimately, we'll have different websites for different countries, and they have their own marketing arm, right? Because a .com in the US is going to be different than a .de in Germany, than a .co in another country, or whatever the case may be. .cn in China. We have to have different SEO that is local or based on that country that goes to that website, and we can't confuse that. Certain things are going to be in different languages. The way they talk is going to be different, so we can't just do a translation. ChatGPT and other AIs help with that now, but these are things that are coming up to speed and they're more efficient and proficient than they were before. So consider that as well. Legal considerations for cross-border operations. This is a funny one because even though we have contracts and agreements that are within the US, yes, there's agreements and contracts that can be done with overseas. However, the validity of those and the enforceability of those is definitely different. So talk to an attorney because it's in the US and in China. Well, guess what? Sometimes NDAs, they don't exist. They're very hard to enforce there or any type of infringement. If you have a patent or a trademark in the US, and somebody's violating it overseas, well, they may not actually be in violation because you'd have to file a patent and trademark in that country as well. This is not legal advice. Consult with an attorney, but this is advice that I've been talked to from attorneys, and I've been told, and ultimately you should be considering this as well, hence why I'm bringing it on this video. Now, other considerations: technology, and invest in systems that don't break under growth. CRMs, payment gateways, customer support platforms, all of these we talked about early on. Make sure your technology can handle this. So consider getting better technology or understanding the bandwidth. Are they going to limit you if you get so many customers that come to the website? Are they going to shut you down if you have too many downloads? Do you have to pay for certain things at a higher tier because you have so much bandwidth or downloads or customers that are accessing your site? Is your site protected? Using systems and companies like Cloudflare, majorly important. We talk about this in our school group, probably have a link below. Go ahead and check that out, because these are things that will help you with your business as well and your tech stack. So the key takeaway from this is a couple things, and it's going to be thinking global, but not building local excellence later. Do that first. Build local excellence first. Get your ground foundation done first before you even think about scaling. And if you want to consider franchising, licensing, or corporate expansion strategies, those can come later, but consider those after you've got the baseline framework down. We'll see you on the next video. And what is the next video? How do I keep my team motivated as we grow? Important one. I'll see you there.